There are many versions of fondant potatoes which vary by shape, how thick they're cut, whether it's browned in animal fat, oil, or butter, whether it's then poached in stock or finished in the same fat, or if they're without garlic, and the type of potato itself, with some chefs swearing that starchy types must be used and others demanding that waxy potatoes are the only possible choice. I only make two kinds of fondant potatoes. I showed the other one in an earlier video. The advantage of this is that it's prepared entirely on top of the stove, leaving your oven free for whatever else it is you're making.
The ingredients for this, I've got about 45 grams of butter here. I've got about a tablespoon of lamb fat rendered from a lamb roast. You can also use beef fat, or you can just use another tablespoon of butter. This will give it more flavor, of course. Generally, I prefer Knorr stock cubes, but in this particular case, maybe because I got used to it many years ago, this Galena Blanca beef stock cubes I think are the way to go. You're only going to use a little bit of this as a seasoning at the end. It's kind of like a replacement for salt. It's like a more flavorful salt in this, and this goes in at the end, as you'll see. Potatoes need to be cut about finger width. More than the finger, a little bit more than the finger. Now, traditional fondant potatoes sometimes are cut like 2 or 3 times even this thick, but they're baked in the oven, and it's a little bit different process. This is going to work really well, and it's going to taste really good, really good. And it'll also facilitate doing the whole thing stovetop, which is important if you only have one oven. You don't want to tie up your oven when you're cooking other things in it. And some sprigs of thyme. This isn't absolutely necessary, but this will also provide an extra layer of flavor. The non-stick pan. The next consideration here is don't use a pan that is too big, because you want the butter to come up to the sides, and you don't want to use absolute ton of butter. So we've got pan that's being heated. We've got the lamb fat and the butter, or if you're just using all butter, put all of it in. So we're going to let this foam up a little bit first. I had the heat higher in order to facilitate the butter melting, but now the butter is almost completely melted. I've lowered the heat down to medium. It's on 5 out of 1 to 10. It's on 5, and now I'm going to add the potatoes in here. This is what you want, a flat layer like this. Now, if it starts splattering, put a splatter guard over the top of it, obviously. Don't be afraid to use a splatter guard anytime. It saves cleanups on the kitchen floor. So this is after about 5 minutes. There's only the slightest bit of browning really here going on right now. Now the pieces have all been turned over. I'm going to reduce the heat down a little bit from 5 to 4, and we'll return the splatter guard just to be safe, and let this cook a little bit more. Now it's been about 5 minutes on this side. I'm going to turn it back over to the first side again. There we go. Now I've got one of those stock cubes that I crushed with a mortar and pestle, and I'm going to sprinkle the top of these like this. Yeah, after a very prolonged time here, you've got some browning on the other side. That's what you want to see. This may take 20 minutes or so, because the heat's fairly low. This is the key. You want this brown surface on here. Now we're going to flip it over. Now we add some sprigs of thyme over the top here. Be generous. This back on. Now I'm going to reduce the heat down from 3 to 2. And finally, after another 5 or 6 minutes, thyme has scented the butter. You can mix this around. You can flip it back over again. Do this. Make sure the other side's nice and brown too, and then we're going to plate it up.
The second volume of my cookbook is now available through Amazon and other booksellers. It covers the YouTube recipes from the last 8 months with more in-depth information. I received requests for the procedures on all recipes, and I've listened to you. Every recipe has step-by-step directions, and of course there are recipes that aren't on YouTube. But this is not just a recipe book. Far from it, as you can see from some of the topics scrolling by here. I'm certain that anyone who watches my channel and any serious cook will find this book a treasury of useful and new information you won't find anywhere else. If you want to know more about my adventures as a chef around the world and have some great laughs along the way, be sure to check out the video tour of my book, 40 Years in One Night. It's up on YouTube right now. Click the link.
Also look for my cocktail book, Cocktails of the South Pacific and Beyond, Advanced Mixology, available through Amazon online.